All righty. All right. So starting off, want to quickly remind everybody, the new agent welcome party is April 14th. So that's next Thursday, and it's right before Good Friday. See the timing there? So, lots of good times. It's a great time to pop in. Earl's Polo. We got the Solarium there booked out for us. We're going to welcome all the agents who've joined our company in the last year or so. And again, just another opportunity to meet one another, have some fun, let your hair down, have a drink, have an appetizer. Again, courtesy of a wonderful friend there at RBC, Thomas Katz. And as well, just got to confirm this morning, our good old lawyer, Sarah Castellano, is going to be sponsoring it as well. So Sarah does not miss opportunities to drink with you guys and have some food. So she's going to be there as well. So thank you very much to Thomas and Sarah for your wonderful support and sponsorship. So make sure, again, New Age Welcome Party, April 14th. That's next Thursday, 2 to 4 p.m., Earl's Polo Park. Everyone's welcome, right? All agents, all staff, welcome. Hope to see you there for a good time. Looking at some of the training that's coming up this week, lots of good stuff here. There's a 30-day market expertise challenge, which is kind of well-timed with today's sales meeting. We're going to talk a bit about that. And then there's a webinar on April 7th at noon, how to post and purpose to get noticed. And so you can, all of those are available on the royalpagenetwork.com/training, or go to Royal Page and then under the training tab, webinars, and you'll see those there. Most importantly, again, this is tomorrow, right? From 12 to 3 o'clock, Smart Marketing Made Easy. This is Jason Pantana. He is Tom Ferry's go-to marketing guy. He knows this stuff. I'm really excited for this because marketing is one of those words. I mean, we just spent about a month on branding and things like that. And this is really going to really cement that concept with branding, and also on marketing and how you're getting your videos out there, how you're getting your content out there, how you're engaging with your database. So all the different strategies we can use in 2022 to generate more business and more leads. Fantastic stuff there. Now, you'll probably got an email or a Facebook notification. There is a registration link to do this, which I just got on Monday, yesterday. So I created an event on our Facebook page and I invited you to the event. I'll send out an email with the link as well after this meeting. But make sure you go to the Facebook page or click the link in the email that I send out and register, right? You can't just, you have to register in order to get the download link. We're probably going to be streaming it, I think, at a couple of the office locations as well. I think it's going to be on a Portage and Henderson for sure. I have to find out about Kenneson because the border might be used. But nonetheless, you'll have it on your own time as well. You have the link. Check it out. Jason Pantana, Smart Marketing Made Easy, tomorrow, April 6th, 12 to 3. Check the Facebook page and click the link to register so you get the watch link. Oof, that was a mouthful there. All righty, into some market stats here. A bunch of interesting things, and it's going to all kind of tie in together here as we look at creating some video content, and it ties into Jason Pantana's message as well. But anyways, this is what happened in March. You can see here, I was going to say all MLS final sales, some interesting numbers. I know there's a lot to look at, but this is where number of sales are down 27.29%, right? So we don't have the activity that we had last year. You know, it's down almost 30 points, which is significant, right? But again, up 30, up 42, 47, 29, 35 from where we were in the last number of years. So, and I'm going to show you a bar graph in a little bit that really demonstrates this really clearly. What's of interesting note here as well, right? You have number of sales and inventory down by a very similar margin, right? So everything has just went kerplunk a little bit by 30%. If you look compared to last year, right, the sales to current listing ratio is very similar, and this one is almost identical, right? It's off by 0.35 sales to active listings. So it's the same market. It's the exact same market as last year. It's the same tightness. It's the same ratios as far as how many sales are they're selling to the listings. It's just taken down a notch from where it was last year, if that makes sense. I'll show you some more graphs coming up. Residential detached, again, that mirrors it pretty similarly, 24 and 29. So sales inventory is going down, there's lower more than sales are, but by about 5%. Condos, you have that a little bit more pronounced here. This is the first time we've seen condos come down in a little while. So it was down 21%, I should say, in sales. Inventory is down 40%, right? So actually that's where you're going to really see some price increases potentially, because this inventory is down at twice the rate that sales have gone down, right? So we'll look at those trends. Just to show you as well how the quarter finished up, it's kind of more of the same. We've been looking at this right every month, so there shouldn't come as any shocks. But this is how the quarter stacked up from January 1 to March 31. So again, you got here number of sales, number of and listings, again down roughly the same amount, 25%. Residential detached, look at that, it's 26. It's very similar. Again, and these numbers here, the sales listing ratios are very similar for where they were last year, and again, miles ahead of where they typically are. And condos, a little bit of a different story. Again, only down 8%, so condos have stayed strong, stronger, I should say, as far as activity goes, and the inventory is down roughly the same, again, 26%. Cool. And residential attached, if you're following those, again, similar numbers to residential detached. So this is one of the graphs just to talk about absorption rate. That is, if you're looking at how do you figure out absorption rate, then you have, that's what you're looking at here, right? That sales to listings ratio, right? That gives you kind of your absorption rate. And this is, again, buyer seller markets. And so I'm going to just quickly talk about this one. You can see here the absorption rate in March was 1.32. And I'm going to do a little sample video for this slide in a little bit, and I'll share my analogy with you there. But anyways, what this means is if no other homes on the market, no other homes came to market, it would take 1.32 months, right? Which is, about 6 weeks or 5-6 weeks to sell everything, right? We'd have no inventory, there'd be no more homes left on the market at the speed of how people are buying homes. And so in a seller's market, again, is usually about 0 to 3. I don't like how this board does this, but anyways, I usually find 0 to 3 is sellers, 4 to 6 is balanced, and over 6 is buyers, but you can fudge these a little bit. So, and what's interesting here is, we've been down this road before, not quite as pronounced. And this also just wanted to show it does take time to get that inventory back up into that balanced market, which we have been before. We actually even had a little bit of buyer's market at a certain point over these years here, if anybody remembers those. But it does take time to get there, right? Unless the market's going to flood itself with inventory, which it's not going to do, it takes time for that to build. So also that's why kind of this market isn't really going away anytime soon. This is kind of what I talked about with the activity, just looking over the last years. I just put it in bar graph form. And why I like this is there's a couple different ways of looking at this. So you can see here the bright green and the bright pink. Well, bright green is last year, 2021. Pink is this year, 2022. And so as you can see, right, we're definitely nowhere near where we were last year, right? We talked about that just 2 minutes ago, down 30%. So you can see that's what it looks like. But when you start looking at January, yes, was bad. Because when you can look at it in a few different ways here. One is comparing to the years, right? As we've already done. So 2021 was stellar. Could be tough to catch that ever again. I shouldn't say ever again, but anytime soon. And then you can see where this January stacks up to the other Januaries, just in bar graph form. So you can see February was again ahead of everywhere else. And this March again has actually shot up quite a bit from where we were in, again, 2020, 19 and 18, right? So yes, it's not a 2021, but nothing's going to be 2021. So get over it, right? It's still in a very busy market, still very active. Now, the other thing you can look at this is just on a month-to-month trend, right? And so we can see here is this is typically how this, month over month, like if you just look at every month per year, the green bar here is an example. It gets busier and busier in spring. You can see that's what we've done here as well. We had 540 in January, 757 in March, and now 1174. 77 in February, and 1174 in March. So this is that upward trend on sales activity, which again goes typically into April, May, and starts to plateau around June, right? So we're on that upward swing right now. And so that is how you kind of can explain. I'll show you in a couple other slides. Well, how is activity down, but prices are still going up, right? Right. Well, activity is down, but prices are still going up. Why is that? Right. And this just shows how that price, the average sale price, again, has gone up this quarter. As again, on the pink side of things, on the 2022s, right? This is what the January average sale price was, residential detached. That was February, and that is March, and how it compared to last year, right? So last year had the same sort of increase that we see this year, but we're just much more pronounced. So it's kind of inverted from the sales activity. And this is typically what happens, right? Things are sort of mellow. Every year it goes up a little bit at this time, but we've obviously seen some accelerated stuff in the last 2 years. Right. And this is what you guys are feeling out there right now, right? The sale to list price ratio. You can see where we were last year, again, just hovering on 100%. This year started out that way, 102.6 in February, 106.3 in March. And I know the buyers agents out there are feeling this because of, again, such a tight market, tight inventory. This Sorry, that's really annoying. I don't know what the heck is going on there. Hopefully it doesn't kick me out too many times, but it sounds like it will, or it looks like it will. So anyways, we saw 67.21%. So I said 75% like at or over list price, which is a high margin. So you thought it was bad last year, right? There was the peak in May, and it's at 67% now, almost 8 points higher. Or it is just under 8 points higher than it was this time last year. So the pinch is really on. I know that's what you guys are feeling out in the marketplace. I know that's what it seems like, but that's what the data is also to back it up. So, sorry. So that is again some interesting stuff there. And again, why we're feeling that, if you go back to it, right? It's right here. It's the tightness of the market, even though activity is down. It's these numbers here that drive prices, right? Oops, I'm going to do that. Here's March, right? It's the sales active listing. It's 3/4 of the homes are selling. So I want to also show you a couple other stats here once I get out of this. If you go to, on Keystone, there's a few interesting ones here as well. I want to show you this one first. Sorry. If you want to also just get more granular on a per neighborhood basis, right? There's a report called Sales by Area Year to Date report. And this actually gives you your absorption rate, the percentage sales to listing, right? So anything that's really high means it's a really tight market. You can see here as an example, 1F, there was 9 listings and 10 sales. And somebody might say, well, how the heck do you get 10 sales with only 9 listings? It's called carryover. It means the house was listed in 2021 in December and sold in 2022. So it's just carryover there. So don't freak out. It does happen. But anyways, if you see any number close to 100 or over 100, that means, you can see here just 30 of the 33 homes, have sold. And you can actually go down list by neighborhood to see which homes or which neighborhoods are selling are even tighter and which ones are a little bit looser. As an example, just to show you how nuts the market is with, I know everyone knows that, but statistically speaking, typically speaking, I'd go to 4A. Be like, look, nothing is selling in 4A. That always has a low sale to listing ratio. But even 4A is 40 to 61. Even 4A is a 66% sale to listing ratio, which is still a seller's market, even in 4A. Which I never thought I'd see in my life, but there it is. Most of the stuff, the lower numbers do come from the rural parts. That's putting it all into a blender. Most of the stuff in Winnipeg is, again, I don't think there's anything under 60. 54, there's one. 2A, that's odd. Must just be some weirdness there. Anyways, that is one kind of cool stat. As well, you can kind of go if you want to get granular and pick on certain neighborhoods, right? These neighborhoods, you can do it on Matrix, which I'll show you in a second, but you can also just go to this report here. This is called RD Bar Graph, March 2022, and it will actually give you the average sale price, residential detached, per neighborhood and how it's gone up every year. And then 22.2 is where we stand, and it gives you a wonderful little bar graph there. So some interesting things there if you want to take a look. And it kind of goes into ones and twos, and you just got to keep scrolling. There's 98 pages of data. So what I wanted to how I want to parlay this in a little bit is talking about how you can, market knowledge and market updates. I think, it's always wonderful. It's a way of, again, demonstrating your competence in the market and also bringing a little bit of insight, right? It's easy just to say, well, the market's crazy, the market's busy, and what's going on. But if you can get down to a little bit into some of the numbers and explain these things to buyers a little better, again, it's just going to help you position yourself as an expert in your marketplace and with your clients. Let them know that you know what you're talking about and you're not just riding the roller coaster of craziness in the market, right? So what I want to show you is in the agenda, you saw 4 1-minute video market updates. Now, a couple disclaimers with this. Number one is you don't have to do it a minute. You could do it 2 minutes, you could do it 10 minutes, you can do whatever you want. I just thought from a really simple standpoint, if you did 1 minute and you took one of these stats, right, and you talked about it for 1 minute to your database or to your marketing or Facebook or whatever it is, and you put it out there once a week, right? And you don't have to do it. You don't have to shoot a video once a week. You can do it all in one setting, change your jacket, change your shirt if you have to, or just keep it on. Who cares? No one's paying attention to it. My dad always said more people are more worried about what they're wearing than what you're wearing. So don't worry about that. Make 4 videos in one sitting. In 20 minutes, you can have all of this done and have your video marketing sent out for the rest of the month really easily. So I'm going to show you quickly how to do that. Now, there is the company that I love using this because you guys have watched it. I'm a big fan of BombBomb. Royal LePage has a partnership with them. I believe it's $3.99 a month, or sorry, not a month, per year. It's an annual subscription. They have some demos and free trials and all that kind of wonderful stuff you can do. So yes, this does cost money. Yes, there are other ways. There are other companies that do this, such as Soapbox, which is a Google-based video email service, as well as oh shoot, it's not coming to mind right now, but if you Google it, there's a whole bunch of different companies. You can also use your iPhone or your smartphone, whatever it is, record yourself, dump it into an email or into a text message. You can do that as well if you want to save some of the money, but you lose some of the tracking and some of the widgets and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly walk through how I would do this on BombBomb for you guys. And it's something to really, I think, consider because, and again, I think Pantan's going to talk about tomorrow, but video messaging and video marketing is just a great way of leveraging your personality, right? Anybody can write an email, a blog, or steal something and repost it. But the video is a chance to show your personality, your knowledge, and connect a little on that one extra level with your database. And again, if you can bring them some nice information about the market, cool. So first thing I'm going to do here is go to videos. And again, this is all very easy to figure out, but I'm just going to go to new video. Right, and this is, you're going to see, you saw my video library there, and now this is weird. I'm taking a video of me taking a video. So there's going to be some weird, a lot of different icon boxes, I think, here. But what you can call it is, I'm just going to call it a 1-minute market update. Okay, and again, this is just something I would do. But if you want to make it different, you want to make it longer, shorter, whatever, you do you, man. But this is just an idea, something that I would do is I would do a 1-minute market update, and I would pick one of these topics. Whoops. Wrong thing here. I'd pick one of these slides to talk about, right? And now again, you could do a whole big quarter recap in a few minutes and send that out once a month to your database. I think that's totally fine, and that's totally cool. But why I like the 1-minute quick updates is because 1 minute, everyone's got a minute, right? You can have a minute to watch something. Not everybody's got 5 or 7 minutes to watch something, let alone 20 minutes. But 1 minute. You can do it pretty easily, pretty quickly. Somebody can just quickly watch it, read it, and it's only a minute, right? So it's that way you can break it up. You send it out in 4 weeks. That means there's a weekly video email coming to your database, which keeps you top of mind. And something that might be a little interesting, and you can put some catchy taglines to it, etc. Right? So in this case, again, I'm not that well prepared for this, so I apologize if I stumble. But I'm going to show you. This is one of the slides I would talk about. Right? I would talk about absorption rate. And why did I talk about absorption rate is because no one knows what it means, right? So why I like topics to pick that no one knows what it means is it makes me sound smart, right? So if I was doing a 1-minute video on absorption rate, I would use a wonderful little analogy, which I'll do in a second. But I would talk about absorption rate and talk about that's what, and maybe my email headline is 1-minute market update. How can sales go down, but prices go up, right? That would be a nice little catchy headline. And I talk about absorption rate because absorption rate is what dictates prices, right? Not activity. So, you could also do, of course, just one on plain activity. You can do a 1-minute market update quickly on average sale price, right? It doesn't take too long to talk about average sale price. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Miss, welcome database. Hello, everyone. Michael Fraser with Royal LePage Prime, yada, yada. I'm here to talk to you 1-minute update about the average sale price, right? Here's a chart that shows you what's happening in average sale price. In March, it went to this much. February was this much, as an increase of 23% in the market. If you want to know how your home stacks up, call me today, right? Very simple, very easy. Just the idea is to have quick little one-hitters to your database. So you can do 4 different ones. I'm going to do this one because it's a bit harder to explain. So I'm going to do that one live. Then I would look at doing this one. I think is an excellent video update to do, and just talk about how, hey, 75% of the homes are selling over or at or over list price, right? It's a great little graph to go over, and you can do that in even under a minute, right? Sale to list price ratios as well, and say, hey, how much are homes selling over list price right now? You can talk about that pressure. At 106% is the average right now, what sellers are getting and what buyers are paying over asking price, right? You can have a little bit of a discussion around that as well. So I think those are some really easy stats to do. I'm going to show you how to do this as well right from the get-go. Okay, that's just a bit of backstory here. And if anybody has any questions or went too fast, please don't hesitate to put up your hand or throw something in the Q&A box or chat, and I'll see what I can do. So first thing is, okay, Michael, and if you're going to make a video, you need to actually have your stats prepared first, right? So where I get these statistics is the same place that you can get the statistics, Matrix, right? Matrix is wonderful. So there's 2 different ways here, right? So one of them is actually going to Keystone, right? And if you go down, scroll down here to MLS stats, you can eventually get to a whole bunch of different reports, right? They have some loaded up right here on your home screen. If you go there to MLS stats, you have a whole bunch of different statistics you can pull, right? So the absorption rate one is right there, called absorption rate March 2022. And that's, did I close that graph? I must have closed that graph. Oops. Menu bar gets in my way. All right. You can click on absorption rate 2022, and there comes the graph. Right. So there's some there, as I mentioned, some of the other ones, the RD bar graph, that's where these are. And that's what's great about these market updates is you can go as granular as you want. If you want to just send out a blast to your database and say, here's what's happening in Winnipeg, or here's what's happening in, but if you want to say, maybe focus on a different neighborhood, right? Say you're working rurally, well, you can go down and give them some actual, some rural stats and talk about, here's RO2, right? There it is, right? This graph is R16, I'm just making it up, but you could go granular and just send it out to your database if they're out in Selkirk, or if they're out in Stonewall, or whatever it is. You can set this up however you want. So that's one way of getting the statistics, is right through Keystone. Lots of easy ones there, right? The other thing to do is actually go on Matrix to the stats button. Okay, I'm going to try to go slow here. It's not that complicated, but if you go to, and there's tons of video tutorials on this as well, but the stats button can generate some of those fancy bar graphs I show you. So what you can do here is, typically speaking, I'll go to the customize option, and I'll show you exactly how I made the bar graphs today. I went to time frame, custom, and I did January 2022 to March 2022. Okay, so that's the first quarter. Easy peasy. What statistic do I want? Well, you can choose a whole bunch of them. In one of the cases there, I went with, number of sales. Okay, and I can group them by, in this case, I went by month. Right, and you can go to generate, and it will give you the wonderful chart for 2022. There's a little thing here called advanced options. If you go there, right, it kind of comes up with second statistics. So they can actually do some layering if you really want to. You can do your number of sales, and I can put in an average sale price and put them on the same graph over top of each other if I want to. But in this case, I didn't. I just hit this wonderful button here called include prior years. And I hit check, and I went, how many years? 4 years. Okay. From there, you can go to style options and pick out your color palettes and things like that. And what I like to do is typically display the values so that will show up on the chart what the actual numbers are. Okay. Now comes time, again, you can get into specifics if you want to choose areas or all the ones or all the twos. If you want to do a Southeast, market report, well, great, then do all the twos, right? You want to do Transcona, we'll pick on your Transcona locations. You can get as granular as you want with this, or go very generic. If I'm going generic and just the entire market, you know, you can do Winnipeg and just select off the areas 1 to 9. If you're doing everything, then you got to go to this board letter thing and just hit Winnipeg. So that's all the board information from Winnipeg, which goes from, you know, areas 1A all the way to the 9s, all the way to R01 to R37 or whatever it is. Right, that's everything. You can just click that. Right, and so depending on what you want to do, let's just take, for the sake of the argument, for differences here, let's just go 1 to 9 and say we're picking on Winnipeg. Right, so we've got January to March, number of sales, go back in the other 4 years, areas 1 to 9, and let's talk about, again, you could do all these different types of properties. Let's just go, say, single family detached. Well, you know what, let's go, yeah, sure, with that. Let's go attached, because we already did detached. We can go generate. There's your statistics. Right, now this one's not that interesting, to be honest, because it's single family attached, but this would be an example of how you can pull that up. Okay, so it's just getting to know the stats button here a little bit. It can get a little quirky depending on what you try to do. Sometimes it won't let you do certain things. So, and usually it comes down to how it's grouped. For instance, if I choose, I want to group it by a year, it actually won't generate that because it's just has to go with what I selected and the statistics I want and how I'm having it arranged. They can't produce it in and go back 4 years if they lump it by year. It just doesn't do that. So you have to sometimes play around with it and say, okay, fine, I'll go by month, and then it works. So sometimes you got to muck around with how it's grouped. You know, for instance, if you want to go by this, you know, if you go by area, it really gets messy. Watch this. Yeah, right. So you can really do a lot of dumb stuff if you really want to. This is all grouped by area, and you wouldn't be able to fit all of the areas into one little graph. So that's not really a great one to do. I'm just showing you the options of what you can do with this. I don't even know what a county is. I don't know if I've tried that, but whoops. Typically that's one. Okay, so this is, I would say, one easy graph to do is simply number of sales activity. Now in this case, it's single family attached, areas 1 to 9, right? And you can just, now from here, if you want to go, geez, days on market median, you know, away you go. You can change it to, instead of a column, you can go to a smooth line, right? And that will do different. Okay, so this is pretty cool. You can muck around and play around a lot with this. The important thing is what's an easy to understand graph. So if somebody's even watching, you know, at work or something like that, they can read the graph, know what you're talking about, and you can explain it quickly in a minute, right, or under a minute. I just think that's valuable. If you want to do a longer one and combine them all, hey, by all means, go nuts. At this point, does anybody have any questions about looking up certain statistics and how to produce this stuff? I'll give it a second here if anybody has anything. Okay, so let's just take as an example, though, my absorption rate here. Okay. Now the board produces 2 of these. I particularly like one of them, so I copied and pasted the bottom one out. I just like it a little bit better. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to do a live video explanation to a 1-minute update on on absorption rate. And I'm not well rehearsed here, so I will probably stumble a little bit. But also, I want to say that's kind of a part of the charm of sending these video updates is that doesn't have to be lights, camera, action, hair, makeup, lighting, and all that kind of stuff. If you want to do it, all that cool stuff and backgrounds and make it all neat, cool, go for it. That's not the point. The point is you're actually doing it, sending your client something that makes it look like you know what you're talking about. That's it. It doesn't have to look all professional. You can stumble a little bit through it. You can add some humor to it. You're talking to your people, your database, right? And you have that relatability. That's what people want, right? So again, don't feel like you have to have, I'm going to do it here in a couple seconds, and it's gonna probably be a little choppy, but again, it doesn't have to be professional. It doesn't have to be, professionally produced. You don't need Hollywood on this, okay? All right, so let me just find my notes back again. Okay, so I'm going to go back into BombBomb, and I'm going to call it my 1-minute market update. How can prices rise when the sales drop? Okay, I'm just gonna, you can go Again, when you have different settings here, you can go widescreen or whatever. I just went standard because I think it's better for a phone. But anyways, choose your cameras, all that kind of wonderful jazz, away you go, right? You can do virtual backgrounds. This is a very exciting background of a gray wall, so I'd probably change it, but nonetheless, then there's this button here. It's called record screen. So I'm going to click on that. Now, again, I am recording a screen recording of a screen recording. So there's going to be probably a little too much Michael on screen here. Okay, so what you need to do then, I hope you guys can still see my screen, is there's a little record button here. So I'm going to hit record and it's going to give me a countdown, 3, 2, 1, and away I go, right? And so I'm going to probably screw this up a bunch, but so be it. Okay, hey, good morning. Good morning, everyone out there. It's Michael Fraze, your friendly neighborhood realtor with Royal LePage Prime Real Estate, giving you a quick 1-minute market update. And today we're going to talk about absorption rate. Absorption rate, you're saying, what the heck is absorption rate? Well, I'm going to tell you in just a minute here, right? But this is going to answer, the absorption rate is going to answer the question, how can prices keep going up when activity and sales are actually dropping? So the absorption rate, I want you to think about it like the old Pizza Hut buffet. Remember the Pizza Hut buffet? I used to go there all the time as a kid. My dad had an office right by it, and I used to eat it a lot, right? Now, Pizza Hut buffet, think of the market like a Pizza Hut buffet. And let's pretend there's 10 people wanting to eat pizza. And for every, when we see a month here, think of it like a pizza, right? So the absorption rate in March, what it means is there's 10 people wanting pizza. There's 1.32 pizzas. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a feeding frenzy, right? There's not enough pizza to go around, right? So it's going to be a feeding frenzy and people are going to pay extra money to get that pizza because they're hungry, right? Now, if you go into a seller's market, what that typically means is if you got anywhere from 0 to 3.5 pizzas, the advantage is for, the pizza. There's not enough pizza to go around. A balanced market, if you're probably looking at, now this is, I'd say maybe 3.5 to 4 to 6 pizzas, 5.5 pizzas, everyone's probably going to eat and have a good time and they're not going to have to get too full. It's okay. A buyer's market is when they have, there's more pizzas than there are people, right? We're looking at 6 pizzas and everyone can eat, everyone's full and there's going to be leftover, right? So if you're in a buyer's market, thing with the pizzas, you're going to have to put some extra toppings on that pizza. You have to make sure it looks just right, adjust the lighting to make sure it hits it so it looks super appetizing, and maybe throw in, some free dipping sauce with it, right? That's going to make people pick the pizza, right? So that is a very oversimplistic analogy of what absorption rate means. And right now in Winnipeg, we got 1.32 pizzas, which is not enough to go around, so even though activity is slowed, which I talked about last week, right? There's not enough much activity, but the market, there's still not enough pizza, there's still not enough houses. And that causes the feeding frenzy, allow the bidding wars, and what causes prices to rise. If you have any questions about this or want to know the current value of your home or how I can help you navigate this interesting market, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Okay, so I'm not sure what's recording what anymore. Anyways, so I took a little longer. Shocker, I had too many words in there. I did 2 minutes, but still is a pretty quick update. And again, absorption rate is probably the one that's you have to explain the most. Everything else is usually average sale price. Pretty easy to explain average sale price, right? You don't have to go too far into the weeds on that. But the absorption rate is one that you can just explain. The pizza buffet analogy, I threw that in there for you. So if you ever have a hard time explaining absorption rate, which I know some realtors do, that's what it is, right? Think of it like pizzas, make a really simple analogy, not enough pizzas to go around, right? 1 pizza, 2 pizzas, I think it makes sense. Okay, so now if you see my screen here now, I'm still back on my BOMM. I can hit save, right? So I'm going to save my 1-minute market update. And it goes into my video library here. Now I can do a few things with it now. I can just click another, make another video if you want, up here, or I can start, and this is what I do. If you see my emails, right? If you say copy for email, it says send your video as an animated GIF, whatever, in your email platform. So I can copy the email. I can go into my my Gmail now, or my whatever mail server you use, and I can just copy and paste it, and it will paste a GIF, and you get the whole the whole wonderful thing that you see all the time for me. Or you can just create copy of the link, right? Or you can email straight from within BombBomb. Okay. So what happens here? I'm just going to go back to the video library here for a second, and I'll just show you why I like BombBomb. And again, if you can import your clients into here, that is awesome. It can take an Excel spreadsheet, you can dump them all in here. But what you have here is, again, you can start looking at tracking, right? So if I want to pull down to, hey, I want to see how many people watch my video about service agreements, right? I can go to track. Right, there's my video about service agreements. I can see if they watched it, how long they watched it, when they clicked off of it. You know, this person, you only watched 3% of it, so good job. And how many people watch it. Now, why it says someone is because they're not logged in, or they didn't put their name on it, etc., or if they're not actually in my contacts. Because I send it through my own email platform, so it doesn't know who's opening it. But if I dumped all of you into contacts and I emailed it out to you, then it would actually tell me who opened it. So that's probably something that we need to do, Cass, if you're watching. So when it's in here, we can actually sync it from Gmail, and then it'll actually know which contacts are opening your email, which ones are watching it, how long they're watching, what they're commenting, if they're sharing, all that kind of stuff. And that's what's really cool about it. And that's why I like BombBomb, and it just creates this video library for you. So again, that is a way to create, that was one video on absorption rate, really easy to do. It's in there, it's saved. I can send this out whenever I'm feeling like I want to send out that absorption rate video. Now, again, if it was me, I'd be scheduling this once a week, I don't care what day it is, every week go, because when it talks about marketing, I'm sure Pentan's going to talk about it. Consistency is key, right? If you can show consistency, I'm sending somebody out all the time. I'm going to be there all the time. I'm going to be there. I'm going to give you information, and I'm going to not miss a Wednesday. What does that do? It builds trust, because consistency builds trust. Inconsistency ruins trust, right? So consistency builds trust. I try to get as consistent as possible. Sometimes I'm not, and I'm trying to do better, right? But that is what builds trust. So if you can come out, that's why I said 1 minute video once a week, or a 2-minute one like I just did once a week, I think is more beneficial than one video every month to do the recap of the entire market, right? So just pick on one little stat, one little thing that's interesting, send it out once a week, and you're going to be in a better position with your marketing and video marketing for your clients. Does anybody have any questions about that? I want to make sure I give any time, because I know I went fast. There's lots of clicking and things. Okay. Well, hearing and seeing none, I will close up today with just one final reminder, or two final reminders. Yeah, who wants pizza now? I kind of do. Two final reminders. One, the first reminder is, again, tomorrow, Jason Pantana. I think I mentioned 100 times today. Make sure you register. Go to our Facebook group on Primers and click the link, register for the session tomorrow from 12 to 3. And then make sure you check out the new agent welcome party, on April the 14th. A couple of reminders there for you guys. All right, that's it for today. Have a fantastic week.